Hey guys, LevelCap here. Today is Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what kind of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for the next episode. Your mission is to sneak behind enemy front lines and rush to gather intel and clear a path for your allies. Mark the enemy positions for your allies with motion balls and use the tugs to provide your team with the intel. Remain as stealthy as possible to maintain your effectiveness. Hope you pick my loadout, have fun, and keep up the great work. Now, as enthusiastic as I was to try out this loadout in a rush game mode, when I tried to play, there just weren't any rush servers available. I really wanted to play as the Spas-12 and use the Recon class and use motion balls and tugs and all that stuff. I just couldn't find any rush servers, and that's part of the problem with the PC version right now, is there's a very limited variety of servers to play on. Tons of Conquest, tons of TDM, very little of anything else going on right now. So sadly, I was forced to try out the same tactics using TDM matches and domination matches. However, I have a feeling that this would still work really well on Rush based on its effectiveness during TDM. I was definitely able to use the tugs and motion balls a lot to pinpoint enemies on the map and move around tactically. I also definitely got a lot of motion assist points where my teammates were really just able to see where the enemies were funneling in from and basically stop a lot of flanks, which is a very big thing in TDM. Spawn switch around, teams are focused on one angle, and all of a sudden this huge flank comes and wipes the other team. My tactically placed tugs and motion balls really prevented a lot of that. Now, one of the main things that doesn't make a whole lot of sense with this loadout is the fact that we're running with a shotgun, an unsuppressed weapon. A lot of this loadout seems to be about sneaking around, sneaking up on your opponent, and shotgun doesn't really play into that too much. However, having really good intel with both the tugs and motion sensor allows you to not only anticipate your enemies, but once you get way behind enemy lines, pump action shotguns are absolutely great for destroying a lot of people and not having to be slowed down by your reload speed. You can reload in between firefights, in between enemies very quickly and easily, and it doesn't matter if somebody sneaks up on you because you can still hip fire at them directly, which will stop the reload process mid-reload. So it's a very good weapon to have when you need to deal with lots of enemies, especially enemies that have their backs turned to you. Now, you're going to notice that I get most of my pump action shotgun kills while aiming down sight. This is a pretty big change from the way that I played with pump action shotguns back from Battlefield 3. For some reason, when you're hip firing pump actions in this game, the accuracy seems to be way off. It just doesn't feel on, and I end up missing a lot of my shots and not getting a lot of kills. So you really want to aim down sight whenever possible with these guns. Obviously, in extreme close quarters, this is not an ideal setup. You really want to be able to hip fire, but you just kind of have to adapt to this playstyle if you want to get consistent kills. The difference of flanking with a shotgun versus an assault rifle is that you don't really have to slow down. You can basically go from one guy to the next, and they don't really have enough time to react to you. Whereas if you have a carbine or an assault rifle, you come up behind them, you drop one or two people, then you gotta reload. All of a sudden they figure out what's going on, they look at the minimap, and you are in a different situation. You gotta switch to your sidearm, and then you're at a disadvantage. Pump action shotgun, absolutely great because it doesn't give your opponent time to react to what you're doing. Now let's talk about some of the gadgets chosen for this loadout and if there's any modifications we could do to make it better. Now, we do have a green laser sight on here, and you're going to notice that I play with it on and off at different points. I do turn off the green laser sight a lot, especially when I'm moving or trying to get to new places, just because it's going to give you away. When your player model is actually running across the map, he swings the gun around, and that green laser lights up a lot of the map, and it's basically going to catch anybody's eye and let them know that, hey, there's a guy with a laser on his gun running across the map. It gives you away super easily. So I'm trying to get whatever advantage I can, and because I really try not to rely on hip fire with the shotgun, laser sight doesn't make a lot of sense for my personal playstyle. So most of the time I just turned it off. Now, as much as I like retaining the cool visuals of this weapon by using the iron sights, I will say the iron sights are a little bit obstructive, and they can be kind of tricky, especially when you're trying to hit somebody at medium range and get a very accurate shot off. Red dot sight would probably be a little bit more effective, but aesthetically speaking, this is a much cooler way to run the loadout. The full choke on the shotgun definitely gives you more damage at range. It's going to be a tighter spread of all the pellets, and that's going to allow you to kill somebody at further ranges. It's also going to make it a bit trickier to kill somebody close quarters because your spread is basically tightened, so if you're aiming or your accuracy is off off ever so slightly, you're not going to get the kill. And you're going to see a couple situations here where I shoot somebody with like hipfire or even aim down sights, and I am ever so slightly off center with the target and none of the pellets seem to hit. So it's definitely not a lenient setup to run this shotgun, but it is very rewarding if you're a good, accurate player. Personally, I like to run the modified choke because it gives me a little bit more leeway with my accuracy in close quarters and makes it so that if I miss my shot ever so slightly, chances are I'm still going to get a few pellets that are going to hit and throw my target off even a little bit. Now, what about the gadgets on here? We have two gadgets that are used to basically mini-map spot your opponents. We have the tugs, which is stationary. You place it down, it'll show you where guys are within a certain proximity. And then we have the motion sensor grenades that you can throw long distance. You can throw them close quarters. They're a little bit more versatile, but they don't last forever, so it's basically a temporary spotter. Now, I think this loadout could be a little bit more interesting, or at least adaptive, if we sacrifice one of those motion sensors. Certainly they both came in handy at points, but because of the speed of the loadout and the fact that I was moving around the map a lot, I didn't find as much use for the tugs in general. So I might replace the tugs for something like a spawn beacon, which would allow me to continue my assault. Say if I got behind enemy lines but then died, I can then respawn on that beacon and continue my flanking maneuvers. And if you want to just go all out ballsy aggressive, you could also equip C4 and just really make people rage when you sneak up behind them or open up new paths to get through the maps, which I find to be extremely effective when trying to come up with unpredictable flanking routes. Overall, I found the loadout really enjoyable and successful for domination and team deathmatch. For rush, it would be highly dependent on what rush map you picked. Some of them are big and very open, and it would be really hard to flank and get up close enough. I find that when I pick a shotgun just on any average map, I'm at a huge disadvantage because of the engagement range. So make sure you pick the right map for this loadout. As always, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Remember to leave your loadout comments down below, letting me know what you would like me to run for next week's episode, and I'll see you next time. This is LevelCap signing off.